Should you pay off student loans early? It's a hotly debated topic in the personal finance world. You have people like Dave Ramsey on one side who say you should pay off any student loans as quickly as possible. Then you have people like Graham Stephan on the other side saying you should pay off the student loans with the high interest rates quickly while only paying the minimum monthly payment on the lower interest ones, as it makes more sense to invest the rest at that point. We're going to break down the math on a few options and see what makes the most sense in this student debt riddled world we live in. As always, all sources are in the description below. But first, let's just get some basic pros and cons out of the way if you pay off your student loans early. Pro, you pay less over the life of the loan. The quicker you pay it off, the less time interest has a chance to accrue. This is a good pro for basic human emotions. Con, higher monthly payments. It's pretty simple, but the more you put towards your student loans every month, the less you have to put towards things like retirement or a home. Pro, getting a head start on other financial goals. The quicker that minimum monthly payment is out of the way, the quicker you're able to put that required payment towards other things you have financial goals for. Con, it takes focus away from other financial goals at the time. If there are other financial goals you want to hit sooner than later, focusing a large part of your monthly budget on this takes that budget away from other things like paying off a car loan. Pro, improving your debt to income ratio. If your debt to income ratio is out of control and preventing you from qualifying for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage, then it makes sense to improve your debt to income ratio. Of course, I would personally prefer increasing the income aspect of this. Con, though it's rare, there are debt forgiveness programs out there. If you are well researched and informed on the potential program you may qualify for, then maybe it makes sense to go for it. There's always the chance that Biden will forgive some of the public loans as well. We'll see if this video ages well or poorly in the future. So those are some basic pros and cons covering an important aspect of the student loan crisis, our basic human emotions. Of course, it makes sense that we want to see our debt to income ratio improve, to see less debt on our credit statement, to see less minimum monthly payments taken out of our bank accounts. But should we be making financial decisions on human emotions or financial facts? Fact number 1. The amount of student debt in 2020 totaled nearly $1.6 trillion, more than twice the amount outstanding in just 2008. Fact number 2. Since 2004, student loan debt has risen faster than other household debt and has surpassed both auto loan and credit card debt in 2010. Student debt is also the second largest source of household debt, trailing only mortgage debt. Fact number 3. The percentage of households with student debt has almost tripled from 8% in 1989 to 21% in 2019. Fact number 4. Among households that took out student loans, the average amount of such debt owed increased nearly fourfold from 1989 to 2019, even after adjusting for inflation. Fact number 5. The average borrowing levels for graduate students has grown significantly over the past couple of decades. Between the 1995-96 and 2015-16 academic years, the average annual loan for graduate students grew from $10,130 to $18,210. Fact number 6. About 92% of all outstanding student debt is owed to the federal government, with private financial institutions lending the remaining 8%. Fact number 7. On average, women owe nearly $3,000 or 10% more student debt than men. Black borrowers owe over $13,000 or nearly 50% more than white borrowers. Fact number 8. Primarily due to higher average debt levels as well as lower earning and higher employment outcomes, the default rate is highest for borrowers who attend for-profit colleges compared to nonprofit and public schools. Fact number 9. In the past few years, the number of such loans increased nearly 50%, rising from $178 billion in 2016 to $263 billion in early 2020. However, this was before the pandemic. And finally, fact number 10. Research from the Federal Reserve has shown that due to high student loan totals, from 2005 to 2014, the home ownership rate for all households dropped by 4 percentage points, while the rate for households led by someone aged 25 to 34 dropped by nearly 9 percentage points. Before we get into the math, let me just say, if you have private student loans, pay them off now. Don't wait, pay them off as soon as humanly possible. But for federal student loans, what about the math? How does it break down if you were to pay off your student loans early versus if you were to invest the rest after your monthly minimum payment? The average federal student loan balance in the United States is $37,014. The average interest rate for those loans sits at 4.12%. Though borrowers can change their plan structure, the standard federal loan repayment plan is 10 years. Over those 10 years, with a minimum monthly payment of $377, your total amount paid would come out to $45,224, with $8,210 of that being interest that had accrued. But I get it. Our basic human emotions make our gut twist over the fact that we have lost $8,210 over those 10 years while being forced to lose $377 a month out of our bank account just to meet minimum monthly payments. But let's keep breaking down the math. If you wanted to pay these loans off twice as fast in 5 years by paying $684 a month, your total amount paid would come out to $41,021, with $4,007 of that being interest that had accrued. Now you can take that full $684 a month that you are paying and put that towards an S&P 500 index fund. Over the next 5 years, your investment account would total $51,313, with $9,589 of that being compound interest that is accrued on your behalf. But if we only paid the minimum monthly payment of $377 over those 10 years and instead invested the additional $307 in an S&P 500 index fund, by the end of the same 10 years, we will have lost $8,210 in interest instead of $4,007. But our investment account would be a total of $59,583, with $22,436 of that being compound interest that is accrued on our behalf. This means we would have actually profited a total of $4,067 if we instead invested the additional $307 a month instead of paying off our student loans twice as quickly. And yes, this takes into account the interest that accrued on both the investment account and student loans in both examples. So that's the basic mathematical breakdown using federal student loan averages from across the United States. But instead of telling other people what they should do, what did I do with my own student loans? In the fall of 2018, when I moved down to Austin, Texas for a great tech job, I had $40,000 in federal student loans and $10,000 in private student loans from our girl Sally Mae. Gotta love her. I got a roommate and split a cheap, for Austin, apartment to save as much money as I could. I put everything I made that didn't go to essentials towards my private student loans. I paid those off within a few months and felt a great sense of freedom. But now, what did I do about those pesky $40,000 in federal student loans? Well, the interest rate was sitting near that average of 4.12%, and I followed the same advice I gave before. I continued to pay my minimum monthly payment and saved as much as I possibly could so I could instead purchase a primary residence here in Austin after just a year and a half. After that, I then continued to save and put 20% down on 2 rental properties over an 8-month period. Now those 2 rental properties have a pure monthly cash flow that more than covers my minimum monthly student loan payments, when and if we ever have to pay them again. Now, this is much more of a complex issue than one short YouTube video can go into. There's the fact that student loans disproportionately affect people of color in low-income communities. There's the fact that, honestly today, some degrees are not worth the cost of investment. What about certifications, trade school, or starting a small business? Again, it's much more complex than these one-sentence remarks. That being said, I broke down the math for the average federal student loan borrower and gave my own take on my own student loans. To me, the facts are pretty clear. Though human emotions might say otherwise, the math suggests that if your interest rate is 5% or lower, it makes more sense to invest the extra money than to pay off your student loans early. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Subscribe and stick around for more. Thanks.